Hi! So we're at Food Basics and we're gonna do our supermarket tour. We're going to Food Basics because this is where we do all of our home shopping. We will be examining the aisle 3, the meat market. Now we're going to talk about some background information in regards to the animals and what they encounter and how it impacts on the environment. So starting with hens. Factory farmers attempt to cram in as many animals as possible. So hens are 4 in one cage that measures 16 inches by 18 inches. Without sufficient room for the hens to walk or stretch their wings, hens can become hysterical and violent. This way of treating the hens reduces the egg production. As you can see in the picture, the hens are squished into these mini tiny cages with 4 or 5 to them depending on the size of the cage. Moving on to chickens. So, although they are not normally caged, they still suffer the crowding experience. The typical broiler is 150 meters long and 14 meters wide. This holds more than 3,000 chickens, as you can see in the picture. So, their living conditions are not ideal either. Moving on to some environmental impacts. So, this is part of the article of the aisle 3 meat market that surprised me the most. So, factory farms in the US produce 6 times the fecal matter than all of the humans on Earth. By raising large groups of animals indoors rather than on pasture, the manure cycle is broken. And I gave you an example of what the manure cycle is right here. Uncomposed manure, rather than acting like rich fertilizer, contaminates the soil, air, and groundwater, which then becomes our drinking water. Manure from factory-farmed animals often contain heavy metals, pesticide residues, bacteria, and parasites, as well as the remaining of medications that was fed to the animals. This is not safe for us or the environment. An observation that I made before walking into Food Basics was having the meat section separated between organic and non-organic meats. To our surprise, there was no organic labels anywhere throughout the store. The first picture is non-organic chicken made by Maple Lodge Farms. This is just an average full chicken that you can buy at Food Basics for $8. The second picture is a full organic chicken also made by Maple Lodge Farms. This is an example of an organic chicken that you could buy at Food Basics by Maple Lodge Farms. Maple Lodge Farms advertises that its chickens are grain-fed and raised without hormones. If one company is making both products, how do we know that cross-contamination is not happening? GMOs are able to spread, as we have learned this semester. How do we know that if these chickens are being grown on the same farm, that the GMOs and the pesticides being used aren't being spread from the organic chicken to the regular chicken? Another example of chicken is the chicken wings that I found. The first picture of chicken wings is non-organic chicken wings. And the second picture is organic chicken wings from Prime. Prime also advertises on their website that their chickens are raised without antibiotics and are vegetable grain. Another thing they advertised was that their chickens were humanely raised. This means that they were kept free to roam in barns with access to water, food, and play 24/7. But now I'm questioning and analyzing how much room did these chickens actually have, as the Prime Farms is a mass company who does mass production. Is Prime Farms falsely advertising that they're treating their chicken humanely to get more people to buy their products when they actually aren't treating their chickens as they say? Moving on to the egg section. All the eggs that I found in the food basics were all from Burn Bray. The first picture looks more organic because it says nature egg on it, but in realistic, I googled Burn Bray, and the website doesn't say how they produce their eggs, but their information on their website states that they are an Ontario farm. They do not talk about if they are organic or not. They don't talk about how they produce their eggs, how they treat their chickens, etc. They just talk about the production after the chickens have hatched their eggs, what they do to prepare it for the grocery store, but they don't talk about anything before preparing it for the grocery store. So we actually don't know how they are treating these chickens. Lastly, I'm going to talk about transportation. So all the chicken, the full chicken, the chicken wings, and the eggs that I showed you, they all come from 3 different companies. The first company is Maple Lodge Farms, the second company is Burn Bray, and the third company is the Prime. So all these farms that Food Basics sells is all Canadian farms. So they're all somewhere in Ontario. This really benefits Ontario because we're supporting our local farms around our area. It also means that in transportation, our food isn't in trucks for a long period of time, as they would be if we are getting our food from the United States. It doesn't have to come across the whole country, but it just comes in our own area, making us supportive of our own hometown farms. One thing I learned doing this supermarket tour is I have to be more aware on the farms that are creating and selling our meat products. This is because we don't know how animals are actually being treated or mistreated. As Burn Bray didn't discuss any of the ways of the production before the eggs were laid. They only discussed the production after and how they got into the grocery store. We don't know if the chickens are being mistreated or not. This affects the way I shop due to the fact that I want to shop for places that treat animals with respect and treat them fairly, as well as Prime Farms. We know that apparently their chickens are allowed to roam and have access to food and water 24/7. This will affect which brand I buy in the meat and supermarkets next time I go shopping.